episode 245 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table where we talk about the outdoors. Well, this was kind of an impromptu episode, but when your buddy calls and says he's got a heck of a story to tell, you drop everything and you get him in the studio to record it. We're welcoming back our friend Tyler Offerman from WLD Productions. He's been on the podcast a few times now, talking about some big bucks he's killed here in Pennsylvania and Ohio. But this time, he's got a buck located that he's really interested in hunting this year, and he's kind of run into some trouble with some local people in the area trying to deceive him and lie to him and convince him not to hunt there. So we're going to talk to him about how this is all unfolding and hopefully bring him back for part 2 when the buck's on the ground. So I'm going to quit rambling, and let's get tuned in to this week's episode.
I pull up my bow, and then I look dead at his antlers. I got out of the truck, and when I slammed the door, I heard gobbles all around me.
Let's see it.
Alaska, moose, spot and stalk. That is the bucket list. I agree.
White Cat Outdoors. White Cat Outdoors.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table while we talk about the outdoors. We got a little bit of an impromptu podcast we got going on this evening here. But when your buddy calls and says he's got a good story, you gotta get it out. So Frank couldn't make it, but that doesn't mean we don't have the rest of the guests here. So who else we got in the room tonight?
Yeah, AE, I'm back again, so. It's been a while, Austin. Glad you're back in the studio.
It's been a hiatus. And then we have a familiar voice back on the air tonight. Believe we've had you on for, one episode or two? Two episodes? Tyler from WLD Productions. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight. This is a pleasure to be here. I was coming up for the weekend. I figured shoot you a text, and here we are.
Absolutely, yeah. So it was. We're gonna back up just a touch here. So it's Friday night. Everybody's finished up with work for the week. And our buddy Tyler, you're down from Pittsburgh area.
Yes, sir.
Ish area, I guess. I get a text from Tyler. He says, "Hey, you guys want a podcast? I got some crazy shit." And that is pretty much all I know about this episode moving in. So you guys are going to be learning just as fast as we are. So for the people that don't know who you are, that didn't listen to the previous episodes with you, if you want to give us just a quick rundown of who you are and what gets you outdoors.
All right. Well, I've been hunting and fishing since as long as I can remember. I remember going in a backpack on my dad's back when he'd get hunting, and he'd tell me to hold my ears whenever he'd shoot the flintlock, so that's kind of crazy.
Just like riding in his backpack?
Oh, dude, yeah, like the baby strap backpack.
That's gangster.
Yeah,
that's
like a foot of snow on the ground. I'm like, Dad, I can't feel my hands, feet, nose. Like, I need to go home. And he's like, you'll be fine. Like, so I grew up like just toughing it out there. So like, the elements really like don't affect me anymore. I don't want to say like, especially living in Erie. Like, you guys are crazy. Like, stuff that you guys put up with up here.
Our weather's nuts. I mean, it's nothing to get 8 inches of snow during a hunt.
Well, the one year, me, you, and Frank went flintlock hunting, and it was literally chest-deep snow, like 5 feet of snow, and we're out there. I'm like, this is stupid. What are we doing?
So as hard as that was, put a baby on your back
and
start hiking around. So
that'll put some hair on your chin.
I can imagine. I need all the help I can get with that.
So you were pretty much just from before you could walk, you've just been out in the woods hunting.
Like, it was bound. Like, there was no way I wasn't going to be a hunter.
That's awesome.
I just became addicted to it, especially after like this past season shooting like a nicer buck.
Yeah, you laid an absolute stud down last season. I don't
even know if we talked about it.
I think we had you on for an episode for that.
I was maybe the first buck that I shot in PA, not the Ohio buck. Because I came up, I remember it was October like 5th, 6th weekend, because I went up to Salmon River for salmon in like Steelhead.
Okay.
And that was definitely, I shot that buck in November, so that would have been before.
Okay, so maybe we got We got some catching up to do on a later episode.
Like we stick to the crazy shit.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. We do the most of like the hunts and stuff we talk about. We don't like to know the story going into it too much because it makes it more fun for us and the listener if we don't know what's coming. So let's dive right in. What's this crazy shit that you just had to reach out and jump right in?
All right, I'm gonna drop a bomb on you guys on the table here. I don't know the viewers can't see it, but that's a 150-inch 10-point, maybe 160.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Just picture it in your head.
So I saw. So imagine a perfectly symmetrical 160-inch Pennsylvania 10-point, like in the middle of like 130-inch territory. Like that's like 140 is like big around my house, and this thing is just astronomically big. Like he stands next to he's with a bunch of 140s, and like all the time he's always with another buck that like is like feeling the area out for him, and he comes
kind of like a satellite deer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just crazy to see like the difference, but
when we get this production going a little bit better, we'll be able to start sharing some video with the podcast. But
Oh yeah,
That's a nice
and
one.
then
look at the
see
dog
if I
killers
can
on that
swipe.
thing.
jeez,
He's just got like 12, 13-inch G2s. G3 is the match, and then he's got, I guess, G4s, right? That
yeah.
they're probably 6 inches, 7 inches.
That's, I mean, like you said, for Pennsylvania, I mean, even realistically, if you're going to talk about a 150-inch deer, I don't care where you're at in the country, that's a good deer. I mean, anywhere, but in PA, that's like monarch.
Yeah, my buddy was telling me he had this thing on trail camera all summer. Sent me a picture of it. I was like, no. Like, and then I had to send him this picture. 'Cause I didn't want to get this picture out there, but I sent him this picture over, and he was like, you're right. Like, that's
Well, I mean, like where we're at, and I don't know how it is, like where you're at, but up in the northwest region of Pennsylvania, if somebody shoots like 120, 125, 130-inch buck, like somewhere in that Pope and Young range, you're talking like everybody knows about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like that hits the ground, news travels extremely fast. Like that's what the talk of the town is if a deer like that hits the ground. So when you start adding 20, 30 inches to that, now you're like, whoa.
All right. You ready for the crazy part?
Yeah.
All right. So I saw this buck earlier in the summer spotting, right? So
Yeah, because those look like photos you took with your phone.
yes, that was recent.
Okay.
So yeah, his
How
brow time
recent?
was
Just
crazy.
we're sitting first
Like,
week of September.
4
Like
days ago.
okay, whoa.
Like maybe
This is breaking
200
news.
yards from the area that I now like kind of run.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a love-hate relationship with like the property and like the people that live around there. So like there's a bunch of animal lovers. But here, I'm going to start it off. So see this deer spotting. My dad has a friend that lives, go figure, like right there, and he sends my dad this picture of this buck. And like I didn't realize
Does your dad's friend hunt?
Yes, but he can't hunt because his house doesn't have any property around it.
So he can hunt, but not in that area.
He could shoot him off his deck, but like he's not going to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and all of his like he has neighbors, so like he can't really do that. So my dad's like, "Well, are you gonna hunt this deer?" And he's like, "I can't." And my dad was like, "Why would you show me that picture?" And the guy was like, "Well, you can't hunt him if I can't hunt him." And I was like, "I can hunt him." Like
We'll figure something out.
I pull out Onyx and I like start looking and I find that there's like 3 big chunks of land. Like there's like a 7-acre piece, 11-acre piece, and then there's like a 12-acre piece. And I knew going into it that I wasn't gonna be able to hunt the 12-acre piece because the guy already said he's an animal lover, and that's actually the property that this buck is literally coming through I'm talking every night.
Figures.
Every single night. He's betting on this guy's property and coming through. So I go knock on door number 1 of the summer. I don't love door knocking, especially like trailers, and like you go up and like there's an old lady and she's like, "What do you want?" And you're like, can I bow hunt in your backyard? And she's like, "What's bow hunting?" And you have to like explain like the whole thing and like how it's safe. And then usually I kind of ease into it. I like start with like it would only be bow hunting from like September until like end of October, like end of November, and like just try and like piece it. And then eventually like they kind of open up and you can tell like if you're gonna get like full permission, full access. But like you got to start small, and if you can just get in there, like that's the key. Or like even like I've already asked if I could just put trail cameras up just to see if it's somewhere that I'd want to hunt. Like I'm sure you guys have seen Seek One.
Yeah, so there's like no commitment to letting you hunt. Like just, hey, I would like to throw some trail cameras out there.
There's a buck I'm looking for, and I'm wondering if he's like coming through here.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like that introductory kind of thing, but no commitment. Just let me put some cameras, and then now you kind of get to know the landowner a little bit before you have to ask the big question.
So door number 1 was definitely like the gem. Like that's like the closest I could get to where this buck was living. So I knock, lady answers the door. She tells me that she would let me hunt, but her son's kind of like in charge of it. So son's not there. He's going to be here this coming weekend. So like 3 or 4 days go by and I'm itching to get back there and like just introduce myself to the guy. Cause I had a feeling like it was either going to be a quick yes or no. Like, oh, I talked to like my mom and she said you were thinking about hunting, and I was like, no way. Like,
it's like, yeah, he's probably got.
Yeah.
He
has all power kind of thing, because I guess he's taking over the property whenever they move. So, in the meantime, I knocked on a door, the other piece, the 11-acre piece, right? And I get permission. So this lady's like 90. She gives me a bunch of old arrows from her grandpa, like instant, like sure
aluminums?
You can hunt, like wooden.
Oh, whoa, like real old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like antique. And
that's really
so
cool.
Like we start talking about like all kinds of life stories, and I just, you know how that, like, I was just like, I mean, it was a good conversation, but I was also trying to like, it's a landowner. You gotta like, I was there for half an hour talking to this lady.
That's cool.
Anyway, so I get this piece. I put up like 3 or 4. I've been on a cell cam kick. Cell cams are like cheap.
That's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down.
You can spend a lot of money, especially when you get into the plans.
Yeah, like $10 a month.
Yeah.
Per camera.
Yeah.
It starts getting out of hand.
You accidentally get 1,000 photos, and you have to upgrade to the unlimited plan for like $20 on all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you use?
Spy Point right now. I thought about going Moultrie, but
Tacticam is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've heard. They're just expensive.
They're $13 for unlimited.
Yeah, but I'm talking for the camera itself.
Oh,
I can get two Spy Points, and if you only run them like 4 months out of the year.
So how do you like your Spy Points? Not to like go totally on a tangent, but I've heard like both ends of the spectrum on Spy Points.
I think they fixed all their problems for the most part. I actually was just, believe it or not, earlier today, it wouldn't let me like sign up for one of the plans, so I just reached out to customer support, and they literally got on there, got on my account, and fixed it all up, and it was all good, no problem.
Yeah, I can't complain about that. No. I mean, customer service is everything, even if there's some bugs, but if they can work with you, get it fixed that quick like that, then I mean, that's all you can ask for.
And definitely with like the Flexes, those new ones they have, the picture quality is like, I'd say one of the best out there.
Really?
Like, I have the micro ones, those little, I gotta quit tapping the table.
Yeah.
I have like the micro ones, and they don't take like as clear of a picture, especially at nighttime. But those Flexes, it's like you wouldn't even know it's a cell camera. Like,
really,
it's actually like a beautiful picture, like those ones you see on Instagram.
Nice.
So anyway, I put out these cell cams. All I get is does, and I know this buck is living like 50 yards. I can pull up Onyx after this and show you, but he's bedding down 50 yards from where I have like 3 or 4 trail cameras. I think I had 3 out the first time. And so I end up putting those trail cameras out, only does. I go back, knock on the door, sun comes out. We start talking about politics, hit it off like crazy.
See, that could go one of two ways. If you don't land on the right side of that politics conversation, it's going to be a yes or no real fast.
I was feeling it out. So, and he basically tells me that like he's had problems with some of his neighbors. This guy hunts back here, but that's the only person, and no one hunts on our 7 acres, and you're allowed to. And you were the only person that's allowed to. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, right? So
now you've got access, like, but you're exclusive access.
Yeah,
to
around my house. Like, if you can get 7 acres to hunt, that's
another thing.
That's crazy.
What's cool about PA, and we've talked about this on a couple recent episodes, of like how diverse Pennsylvania really is. Like where we're at, it's nothing to have 50, 60 acre pieces to hunt up here, but where you're at, like, which isn't that far away, 7, 10 acre pieces is like a big chunk. It's a totally different style of hunting, and you're only 100 miles away, if that.
All right, so I know this picture's kind of hard to see. There's a video that I can pull up if I can find it later. He's got a triple split G2 on his left.
So that's not even the deer that you got excited about at first, and he's just like...
That's a byproduct.
And he's got a double split on his right, and he's got like an 8 or 9 inch brow tine on the left side. It turns out that my dad's buddy found his shed like probably half a mile from there, and his base he's way bigger than he looks in the pictures. He's a 7.5-year-old deer is what people have been hunting this deer. Like, he's been wounded, and I think this is like his core area. Like, he's been there like a lot. So he's got, I think he's an 11 or 12 point, but he's 7.5 years old. Now we have a 150 inch 10 point that's beautiful that anyone would love to kill anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get a picture of a 10-point with split brow tines last night. It's probably going to score like in the 130s, something like that. But he's just a stud. Like, you can't even see like how high his tines go up, but
You can see the frame though.
and just like the size of the deer. Like, he's got to be like 4.5, like just big nose on him.
Sounds
yeah.
like you found yourself a honey hole.
A honey hole, right? So here I am. I'm in my glory, right? So I got both properties, and then I got a sanctuary in the middle, and I get a phone call from this guy. I'm not gonna say any names, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
He goes, "Hey, like, my name's so and so." He's like, "I've been hunting here for the past 11 years with my wife. Like, I would prefer like if you took your trail cams down and like didn't hunt here." And like now,
How did he get your number?
from the guy that I got the son that I got permission from.
Okay.
He said that he would talk to me and work it out, thinking that we were gonna like share the property per se, but like,
But I thought you had exclusive rights to hunt it.
well, right. So from the landowner's perspective, this guy was hunting in his backyard and just like hunting like the fringe of his like. So there's two houses. There's landowner and then there's hunter.
Okay.
So hunter thought he was gonna be hunting in his backyard, just like on like the trees that like are on the fringe of his backyard, right?
Okay.
So the landowner didn't know that he was hunting on that property. So when he found out that he was hunting on there without asking first, he then lost full permission. So
now this guy's
is
like,
where
no.
It gets dicey.
So now he's not allowed to hunt there at all.
So we went back and forth for a while. He was like, "I'm begging you." Like, I thought this guy was gonna cry. Like, and I like, from a bow hunter perspective, I almost said like, I said I'm gonna hunt the other side of the property. Like, I'll be like 200 yards from you. Like, and I don't even know how much I can hunt there. And like with these big bucks, like, you really can't put a lot of pressure on
It's
them.
not like you can sit in there every single day.
No, right.
Like,
yeah.
you've got to wait for just the right opportunity
Yeah.
to sneak in, in and out.
That's like giving a kid a Christmas present and then taking it away from him. I had all those bucks that like I was watching, and he's like, I have them all named, and I'm sure like he lives there,
Cool,
so he
dude.
knows about them. Right? I have a food plot in my backyard, and I'm thinking Kachinga, like, that's perfect. Like,
Yeah, make sure you keep that lush,
You're right.
like let's.
so
I like what you've done with the place.
he loses permission to hunt this like the number
So-
one spot.
Just to clarify, so did he lose permission before or after he contacts you telling you to like back away?
So he contacted me. I reached out to the landowner and just said, "Hey, like, I talked to your neighbor. I'm gonna hunt the other side." He then proceeded to call the landowner and tell him like not to let me hunt, and that's whenever he told him that he wasn't allowed to hunt.
So he came to the landowner saying like, "Hey, I'm Big Dog. This guy's gonna move on," and he's
Yep.
like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing on my piece?"
Yes,
Awesome.
exactly. So like it's like a love-hate kind of thing. Like, I feel bad for the guy, but at the same time, like, there's
He
a hundred-
wasn't honest
yeah.
with the
I'm
landowner.
gonna say you shouldn't feel bad at all. You're the one that did the due diligence to get permission.
Right.
He's the one that was just, oh, I've been here for years with my wife. Like, well, not legally. You're trespassing every single time you go on there.
Okay, so now I have full permission to this one piece, and honestly, like, I don't even care if that guy hunts there. So now it's a couple days go by, I'm getting bucks on my trail cams, and I get a phone call from him again. And he's, "Hey, this is so-and-so, like, I heard that you hunt on this other property right next door." He's like, I just got permission, or like, he didn't say he just got permission, but he said that he was there this morning, and he put up some trail cameras, and he put up a tree stand down in the bottom corner, and that's like where he thought it'd be a good idea for him to hunt, which is right off that buck's bed, right? So like, I think there, like, it's kind of like I gotta pick and choose here. Like, I have like the spot where I know he's coming through, but then I also have the spot when like the rut comes and there's some pressure, maybe he's gonna fall back into. Like, I have him kind of like cornered in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's the same guy, right? He's like, "Hey, this is my grandma's house. I've been hunting here for like forever, and like my dad hunts here." So I'm like, first off, this lady said that she doesn't have any grandkids that live around, so he's lying, right? Like, so now I'm starting to think, okay, these are his bucks. Like,
You're
he's
starting
acting
to
like,
you're starting to feel less and less bad
yeah,
about it.
I don't feel bad at all now, right? So I was like, okay, if he was there, like, I might as well go in there and like just kind of see where he put his trail cams, because like it's not that big, and like,
Yeah.
I kind of knew where he was, and I already had 2 trail cameras where he put his stuff up. I walked down, my trail cam's 5 yards from his. My other trail cam is 5 yards from his tree stand.
And yours were there first.
Oh, they've
so
been
he-
there
so
for
he-
like 2 weeks at this point.
So you put a trail camera up. He goes in, puts a trail camera like literally the next tree over,
Yep.
and then a tree stand in front of your camera.
Yep. And
Something tells me he found your trail camera.
Oh, no,
And
right.
Said,
it's like-
obviously, this is where I need to be.
I don't know. But so I go
I'd
over
have asked
there.
him, honestly, like, you've been hunting here for years. Why is the first time you put a stand up right where my camera's at?
He hasn't been hunting there for years.
you know what I mean?
So I end up walking up the hill, and I just kind of like scouted out the property a little more. I figured he already did enough damage that day that like I couldn't hurt it anymore. Go figure. I bump a buck. I don't know if it was at 10 point. It was one of the big ones, but I find his bed, and there are rubs, and it is an area as big as this table. Just like I've never seen anything like he's bedding 10 yards from her driveway. It's straight up and down, and there's these big hedge bushes, so no one's coming in from the top. He can see this whole ravine below him. It's like open. And then he has these two big bushes, and he can kind of like peek around them, and he has two escape routes out both sides, like beat paths. Like it is the most like.
Well, and then anytime somebody comes up that driveway, he sees, like, so he can sneak out quick, easy.
So that's something I'm gonna have to figure out. So when I moved these two trail obviously I'm not gonna leave them. I was like, you know what, you can have your little like corner down there. I was like, I'm gonna do this my way.
You should just throw like cameras up that don't work. Like we could hook you up with some cameras that like are busted, and just start putting them all over there, so he thinks that you're like zeroing in on something over there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what he thought. Is like I thought that's where the buck was coming through. So I bump this buck. I see which way he goes. I'm like, I'm gonna put two trail cameras right here, or right off her driveway.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
That was the first night that camera was there. Was that split brow tine? So I don't know if there's multiple bucks using this bed, but
I mean that's very probable. That
Yeah.
you know, I don't think bucks are like I feel like a good bedding spot is a good bedding spot regardless of the deer. And there may be like a dominant deer that'll kick another buck out of there, but it doesn't mean that there's not multiple deer that'll lay down there if it's open.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like the big chunk of the crazy stuff. And then when I talked to the guy, I started to like try and be buddy with him, because I was like, you can have your spot. I was like, what have you been like seeing? Like let's like exchange some I know he knows everything that's over there. He lives there, and he has trail cams everywhere. So like he's already seen these deer, but I want to see like what he has. So he sent me that picture of that 10 point from like last year, but he hasn't opened up yet. But he did say, I said, I'm sure you like saw my trail cam down there, and he said, LOL, yes I did. That was his response.
So 100% he's just screwing with you
Yes.
at this point, like
Yeah.
just trying to sabotage your
Being
hunt.
like a shitty dude. Yeah. So that was like what I wanted to like bring up. What do you guys think on that? Like, I'm on the wrong.
Oh, absolutely not. Like you're going through the steps to get permission. At the end of the day, I don't care if that other guy, even if he had permission, it's not his property to say who can and can't hunt there. If the landowner is telling you you can hunt, it don't matter. And if you like, there comes a point where it's like, is it worth your time to go in there if this guy's going to screw you up?
And that's what I'm worried about. Is he going to let his dog out and run around that woods all the time?
But if he wants to hunt, it's like, what's more important to him, screwing up your hunt or him hunting?
Right.
And if he's more interested in hunting, he's not going to screw you up at all. If anything, he's going to, basically, if he's going to go in there and, like, if his idea is, I'm going to hunt the hell out of this place and make sure, you don't go in there and hunt, he's going to be going in there every single day, sitting in there waiting for you. All he's going to do is just fill that place with scent over in that corner and bump him away, and then you can use that to your advantage.
All right, so you can see here.
You just got to hope that he doesn't listen to this.
See these two trail cameras? Oh, he's not going to listen to this. He's a goof. If you're out there, you're a goof, bro. So we got this bottom corner right here, right? This property is the sanctuary. All those places right there is where my dad's
Those little
buddy,
brown dots?
that's where like we've actually physically seen the buck like in the past month. And then he comes out to these fields out here every night. And the thing is, people dove hunt, and they give permission to like whoever wants to hunt, because it's like they don't want the deer on their like fields, right?
A lot of farmers
So-
are like that around here,
So
too.
right now those deer are coming out here, and like he could be bedding down in there like the nights that I don't have them like around, or like don't have any of those bucks. That's where they're hanging out. But as soon as people start going in there, they're gonna end up right here in this little chunk of woods. So this dude lives right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I got all that woods like right behind his house. Sanctuary right in the middle. And then I got this whole chunk over here to the right. And this is the house. So that's where that buck's literally bedding. If you can see that.
So do you know how your buddy is going to be accessing his stand that's right by your camera?
Well,
His camera's not there anymore.
I moved, so see those blue markers?
Yeah.
So that's where they're at now. They were down there.
Okay.
It's probably 250 yards away.
I was going to say, do you know how that guy's going to be accessing his stand?
I hope that he's not smart enough to use the railroad tracks. I hope he just walks right down this path. The deer see him and just end up.
That's what I was going to say, is
loving
if
that
you
woods.
know where that buck's escape routes are, you should use that to your advantage in hopes that
Hope the
this
guy
hunts, comes in and bumps this buck out of his bed, and you catch him on his escape route.
You seeing, like, being able to catch that opportunity where you pulled in the driveway, you watched that deer take off, there's a really good chance that if that guy's going to park there, walk up that rail or that little roadway there, that buck's going to take off. He may not even see it.
He waited till I was 5 yards away to get up. That was what was crazy. Like, he didn't. I was like, why did this thing not, like, I'm talking from here to that wall.
Well, and here's the thing.
Well, did you see him until he got up?
No.
That's why.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, too, like, people think, oh, I screwed this all up. I kicked him out of his bed. No, his escape route worked. Like, if he got away from you, it worked, and he's going to go back. Like,
100%.
Now, you can't go and kick him out of there every single day and expect it to keep going. But now you understand, okay, I can't access, when I'm going into hunt, you just learned a huge thing of, like, I can't come in this way. Even if you've got to make a huge loop to get in there, that's like a no-no, and you know that. But if that guy's going to take that route, he's going to bump that deer, and now your job is to figure out where he's going when he gets
I'm playing
bumped.
the field, for sure. Yeah,
I truly think you can use this guy being a dick as, like, almost to your advantage.
100%.
Because,
I
like,
think that's the best part.
The thing is, like, you're talking like it's a big chunk. For your area,
20
it's
to
big.
30 acres.
20 to 30 acres is really not that much ground when it comes to, like, figuring out a piece of property. And if this guy's going to go booger up, a 4-acre piece, you just got, or 4 or 5 acres in this area, you've literally cut 25% of your hunting away. Like, you've just narrowed it down to where now I only have to focus on 15 acres. Like I said, I think if you play your cards right, it's actually going to work in your advantage.
That's what we're hoping. I mean, that was the crazy shit right there. So you got 3 really, really good bucks. I'm sure there's one with crazy brow tines that's running around that I just haven't got a picture yet. There could be like 5 or 6 of them, and especially when the rut comes.
Well, when the rut comes, you have no idea.
Yeah.
There could be a buck 5 miles away that decides to come through there.
Right. So, yeah, we're in a good spot.
I just never understood that mentality of people. Like, I've dealt with it where people get a buck on trail camera and they think that's my buck. And
Well, they named it, Tom.
yeah, but I used to have this property that I would hunt, and I eventually gave up on it. But it was just a 7-acre chunk, and it bordered this guy. He owned like 300 acres. He was a big deer hunter, and he thought every buck that he got on camera was his. And I would park my truck across the street, and I'd walk across the street, go get up into my stand. Well, if this guy drove by and saw my truck parked, he would drive home, get on his 4-wheeler, and just rip up and down the property line while I'm trying to hunt. He was that kind of...
And how much property were you hunting?
I was hunting a 7-acre chunk.
7 acres. That's how you
Surrounded
kill 'em.
by 300 acres that this guy owned.
Yeah.
And granted, you were pretty young at the time. Like, Tom hadn't really, like... And no, this isn't like a jab at you, but you didn't really have the stones to, like, stand up for yourself at this point. Like,
oh, yeah. I was
you were a
16-year-old high school kid, and this guy's like
grown man.
60.
Yeah, his dad's age or older is, like, coming in, you, like, getting in Tom's face and literally trespassing all over the property and then saying, make sure you stay off mine.
People are crazy, man.
But it's like, at 16, what are you going to do? Like, it's tough for somebody, like, at 16
You
to...
don't have the kahunas.
No,
Yeah.
not at 16, especially like you grow up your whole life, respect your elders, everything, in which I still believe in. But now, a little bit older, like, I don't care if you're older than me. If you're going to be a dick, I'm going to be a dick back.
There is laws like hunter harassment. If you went to a game commission and had actual proof of people attempting with your hunt, they could get a huge fine for that as well.
Even if they're on their own property. Because, like, I mean, if you're hunting a 7-acre chunk, you're never more than... 150, 200 yards from your neighbor's property line. It's not like you can be 500, 600 yards away from a property line.
Yeah.
So no matter where my stand was at, I was always...
Almost, like, especially during gun season, you were within eyesight of them.
Oh, yeah. Of the property line, for sure. So I don't know how that law works. Like,
Yeah, you have to look into it, but it is a real thing.
I know with, like, hunting out in Ohio last year, So where I shot that buck, I was like 2 yards. There was a tree that was 2 yards on the public land, and those deer, for the most part, would come on that private land. But every once in a while, they'd venture. There was an opening in the fence, and every once in a while, they'd come through there to like cut the corner, and that's exactly what happened on that hunt. So like hunt the borders. Like,
oh yeah, I mean it's you go up to our property in New York, and if you walk across the back property line, our neighbors have about 6 tree stands on the property line facing into our piece.
Yeah, our property, like on the back side. So like we have like frontage on 3 roads, like a big country block. Like Tom and I, we have a pretty good sized piece there. But the back side of the property line literally is like a staircase. And in like the 90 of those staircases, our property, like the guy that borders our property, has a ladder stand in the point the whole way up, facing our sides. Like, like, yeah, you're hunting on your piece.
Those deer coming off of your piece, though.
Yeah, they're coming off our piece, or, really good chance that you shoot it and it's dying on our piece.
Yeah.
Granted, we have a pretty good relationship with him. Like, if, he shoots something, we'll let him come over. But at the same time, it's kind of like a, really, dude, like, he's got just as much property as we do, and he's just lined
That's how our property is that we own. We own like 60 acres down towards like West Virginia. It's in PA, but it's like right on the border, and there's tree stands like right on the edge, and it's like, well, now I can't hunt here because like that's like not cool to hunt like right next to someone.
I got pissed one time because he literally has like 6 tree stands down our property line, and I was doing some scouting, found this spot that I really wanted to hunt, and I look up and there's a tree stand like 60 yards. I'm like,
you can see the white pole, like the property line is in bow range of his, like facing our side.
I'm like, screw this. I'm putting a stand there.
Like, it's a good spot. So yeah, we have.
And I've hunted it, and I really don't think he's that hard of a hunter.
I personally think that like a lot of those stands he put in were like before we were hunting up there, and he wasn't doing a whole lot of hunting either. Because I've never seen him in the woods.
Yeah.
So, and we're up there every weekend, and I don't
just
see
put a stand right next to it.
We did.
That's what my pap did. Yeah, just like 5 yards away from it.
Yeah, I'm like I hate to be that guy, and you sound like an asshole, but at the same time, it's just like a little bit of
it's a game.
Yeah, it is a game, and we may not even hunt that stand. It's just it's like a decoy.
But yeah, people get weird about deer.
Oh, they do.
I've always kind of had the mentality of neighbors. Like, if you are cordial with your neighbors, it's only going to benefit you.
Oh, absolutely.
Like out at the farm where we hunt, mostly in PA, we have a great relationship with all of the neighbors.
Yeah, we do deer drives together, and like basically everybody does their own thing in bow. But as soon as gun season comes around, we kind of all come together, set up deer drives. We drive through each other's property, like, and just.
Then I've talked to them, and they're like, "Hey, if you ever shoot a deer and it crosses a property line, like, don't even ask, just go get it." And I'm like, yeah, same deal. But for whatever reason, some people just they get weird when it comes to deer. I don't understand it.
But like this guy's like that you're dealing with is going to like a whole new level and like just blatantly lying to you, like trying to scare you.
Is what.
Like, cause I get him being a little upset. Like, I mean, cause even if it's not your property, if you have been hunting it for years, you can start to develop like a bit of like ownership to it. Like it's kind of like you start a new job. The guy that's been there 20 years is gonna feel a little bit of superior to you. And he's probably got a little bit of that, but to go to the point of like just straight up lying to you that like, oh, so and so is my grandma, And
it's not like that guy actually had permission to be there, and he was just
that's what I mean.
And never got caught.
He doesn't have permission. That's not his grandma. Like,
well, when I asked her, I said, "Hey, like, your grandson called me," and she goes, "My grandson?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, so and so called me, and he said that he's gonna be hunting here as well, and he put up some trail cams like down in the bottom." And she was like, and she's like, "It wasn't that guy," and she's like, "There was a guy here this morning," and I was like, "Huh."
Was it your grandson?
Yeah, and she goes, "No, my grandson lives with me, and like he doesn't hunt." And I was like, "Yeah, this guy's like in for it now." Like that was my like turning point where I didn't feel bad anymore, and like
I wouldn't feel bad at all.
No.
Yeah.
What I'm really hoping out of this is we're gonna have a part 2 in a few weeks.
The 150-inch 10-point.
Yeah, we're gonna bring this whole thing full circle in a couple weeks. That's my hopes for this podcast.
I can't wait to send him a picture.
I was just getting ready to ask you if you killed it or when you kill this buck. Are you gonna text him a photo?
100%.
I would drag it in front of his trail
I'm gonna have him
camera.
come blood trail it with me and not tell him like which buck it is.
Hey, I just shot
See
a
his
doe.
reaction.
I'm not real sure about the shot.
Well, that was his whole thing. He said when he called me the first time, he's like, man, he's like, I ain't out here just like shooting little bucks and like does. He's like, I'm a trophy hunter, and I like got like real quiet, and I was like, you mean like that big 10 point? And he was like he got quiet, like he knows. Like I don't think he knew that he thought I was just going back there to hunt, and I was like, no, like I'm here.
I'm here for a reason.
I'm here. I came here prepared to take your buck. Like,
Yeah.
not really, but
No, I mean it's one of them things like you're just trying to hunt, he's just trying to hunt. You're playing it safe by like getting permission, doing your due diligence, and he's the one being a dick.
well, the best part about it was I got a text from the landowner, and his text, all it said was, I said like what happened, because he said about like you're the only one that's allowed to hunt here now, and I just responded like, okay, like are you sure, like whatever, and he just said, I want you to shoot the big buck, so he knows about it too, like.
So that's pretty cool that you got him on your side, and that's what happens when you go about it the right way and like introduce yourself and talk to him, get permission, instead of just lying and trespassing and trying to kick other people off.
And I have an extra trail cam in there because he had one up for like trespassers.
Mm-hmm.
So he sends me pictures of these big bucks when they come through on video on the tactic cams like you were talking about.
Yeah.
He's like, hey man, he was just in the backyard. It's awesome.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you. I mean,
When does the season open up down there?
September 21st.
Yeah, bastards. They get
I
an
don't think
extra
I can
week.
hunt though. I have a wedding opening day.
Who plans
Sounds
the
like- are
wedding
you
on
in the-
That's what
opening
I
day?
said.
Are you in the wedding?
I'm not in the wedding.
Oh,
but I
then
gotta
you're
be
good.
there. Yeah, but I'm not gonna hunt in the morning.
Why not?
I thought about it.
You don't hunt mornings in October.
September.
Yeah, you.
September.
Yes, you do.
Well,
That's what they say. Don't
we'll see
hunt.
what the wind's doing. If it's like crazy and it's like, honestly, if it's raining, I'll definitely hunt. Like that would be like, I love like that day in PA last year when I shot that buck early season.
Mm-hmm.
He came through at like 3:00 in the afternoon. It was drizzling. Like they just do different things with different weather.
Yeah. If the weather's like perfect, I'd have a really hard time being at that wedding.
Yeah, but like back to like the weather. Like I don't think like I've seen no deer on perfect weather days, and you can attest. Like you get out there and you're like the wind's perfect. Like I haven't hunted this stand in 3 weeks, and you get out there and don't see a deer.
Yeah, I mean, being that it's such a small piece, like acreage wise, you do have to be really careful of like when you go in there, not overhunt it,
Right.
and wait till your conditions are what you feel like. Especially with the amount of, it looks like you have quite a bit of history, like pictures back and forth. You can go through, figure out like, okay, he came through here on this wind direction. You know, it was this barometric pressure this time, and you can kind of start building a forecast of like, hey, the last time the weather was like this, 2 out of the 3 last times that we had this weather condition, he came through.
Right before storm.
Yeah.
That's it. That's definitely like every time they've been on there was like the day or two before a big storm.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that where it's like, if it's, clear skies for the next week, it's like, all right, I'm going to stick out. I'm not going to go in there, wait for that storm to come through.
But on the same hand, you're working. So his dad's apparently hunting there. He's hunting there. Supposedly there's another guy that's coming up from like a different property that like has no woods.
But if this guy is at the level of just throwing a tree stand up wherever you've got a camera, he ain't doing the work that you're doing to figure out this deer. He saw this deer probably out in the field and is just going to go in sitting there every single day.
Yeah.
Like if that's his mentality of like, oh, he's got a trail camera here, this is where I'm going to hunt, he's not doing the work that you're doing.
Now, do you hunt, like, say, opening week, like, that buck's in there? Do you go full balls to the wall, full, like, right in there on him? Or do you hunt the fringe?
That's so situational because
We just did an episode on this.
Yeah, but I mean,
days ago.
but it's so situational because you can't say, like, especially with whitetail, I don't think anyone can sit here and say that 100% this is what I do every time, no matter what. I don't care. Like, you could be a guy that says I only hunt the fringe the first couple weeks. If you've got 2 days in a row that this deer came through and you think you can go in there and kill him, you'd be dumb not to go in there and try and do it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I don't like whatever principle you stand on. Where like, oh, I only hunt the edge of the fields, for the first 2 weeks. Well, if I'm getting pictures and I think I can kill him, why wouldn't you go in there? Like, what's the sense in waiting? Because every day you don't get them is a chance that your neighbor gets them.
That's exactly what I'm.
But play it smart. But I would just stay open minded, and when you get that feeling where you're like, I think that this can work, go in, do it.
Yeah. If it's 80 degrees and sunny, I'm not going to go in there. I'm going to.
Unless you see, if he's been on camera
True,
like doing it,
true.
it's one of them things where, like I said, it's situational. You can't. I don't think you ever want to just like back yourself into a corner and say that like, I don't care, doesn't matter, I won't go in there until this. Like if he's given you the opportunity to kill him, kill him.
We can kind of relate that to that 9-point from last year, if you don't mind if I bring that up.
Oh, absolutely.
So I shot a 9-point in PA last year. It scored right around 130. I had him on my trail cam like twice throughout the summer. He was definitely living on this like one hillside, and I hunted opening day, walked down the driveway, or like we're driving down the driveway, and there's guys walking and they're blood trailing a deer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they tell me there was this monster buck that came through, and I could tell like they weren't like big hunters. So I'm assuming that was the only like really big buck around for the most part. And it turned out it was a different one, but they had also missed. He said that they missed a monster buck, and then they shot this one. So they missed this buck, and the next day he was right under my tree stand on trail camera. He instantly moved to that other piece of woods where I had him. So like,
I probably would too if I got an arrow thrown at me.
and then I shot him.
Yeah.
But so like you can like you were saying, you can use other hunters to your advantage.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of guys that they completely use. They just pattern deer around other people screwing stuff up. And Tom and I don't hunt areas where we have to deal with that as much, where like a lot of like any pressure, I can't say any, most of the pressure that the deer see is what we're putting on it. So Tom and I are usually pretty conservative at the beginning of the year hunting fringes and stuff, but I'll be the first one to say, and I think Tom would agree, if we've got a picture of a buck doing the same thing, why would I sit there and be like, well, we should probably wait till the end of the season to go after him because, we really just like to stick on the fringe. If you think that there's a calculated move to make early season, I do it.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got that early season, and I think once the rut hits, it's kind of.
I think once the rut
up.
hits,
you can throw everything up in the air.
Yeah. It's a good spot. But
there's good travel corridors, good pinch points where bucks are going to chase does, but you don't know what buck is going to be chasing through that good rut spot.
Like you said, he could be 5 miles away, get lost, and never come back, never see him again. I might never see him again after this week once the velvet comes off.
You don't know. Frank, he's got, where his house is about, I think it's like 3 miles the way a crow flies from the one piece he hunts. He actively gets pictures of the buck on that property that he hunts and then sees them out his back window in the field behind his house.
3 miles?
3 miles, and like within regularly we'll see the same deer in both places.
That's wild.
So like for somebody to like deer, they do a lot of movement, a lot more than people realize. So like back to, if you've got him hanging out in that piece early season, go after and kill him because you don't know where he could be in a week. I'm just excited to get you back on here for part 2, and we've got a skull cap sitting on the middle of the table of this stud.
We can talk about the 150-inch 10-point out in Ohio and the 150-inch 10-point.
Might have to be like
PA,
part 2 and part 3.
The double 150s.
We got 2 Ohio hunters sitting at the table.
I know.
right
You
now.
can't say that too loud in this.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting a little bit jealous.
You don't know where I was though.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that with that video. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Why?
You showed me a little bit of the video. You're worried about people finding out where you're at.
Yeah, I got too many views. Too many.
You think that there's that much? Did you show that much in the woods?
There's guys that are obsessed with Onyx, and there's only so much public land.
Yeah, I
Did
mean,
you take it down?
I don't know.
No,
like,
I had to leave it up, but
I don't know. It's the people that like you would be afraid of, like that are skilled enough to go in there and hunt and get a buck
might
like that.
not take your spot.
I think that they're doing their own homework.
Yeah.
Like, like you look at somebody that's going to cheat on a test, is probably not that smart. Somebody that's going to do the work and score well on the test, they're not worried about what you're doing.
True.
Somebody that like watches that video, they're going to watch it for entertainment value, and then they're going to go do their thing. The people that are going to cheat and try and spend all their time figuring out where you're at, that's wasted time that they could have been scouting. And I mean, unless you're like showing like the trailhead with like a picture of the, like where it's obvious exactly where you're at, but like trying to, I think I recognize those 2 oak trees together. I don't think you got to worry about that.
I just know like how I remember stuff in the woods, and like I do remember like oddly enough, like I can remember trees. Like if I see like this one area where like 3 or 4, you know what I mean, like a cluster of trees, you're like, I've been here before.
So you got to start doing what we did a few years ago, because we've had this talk before of like worried about people finding out where we're at. You know, if we get, because like we have people that come up to us all the time. They're like, oh, I know right where you guys hunt. Like, well, you know where one of the pieces I hunt. Like we hunt all over the place.
That's smart to say it
So,
like that. Yeah.
But so what we started doing is like we'll kill a turkey or something, and then like we'll put a location for like Instagram, but it's like McDonald's play place or like your mom's house. Like we just put dumb locations. Like we could have killed that buck in PA and somewhere in Kentucky. Like I don't care. Like
That's smart. Instead of saying like PA,
but we do it for like
we
just do it for like comedic value. Like just make it stupid locations that have nothing to do with hunting.
There's a road sign in that video. That's one of the players. Like it gets you.
You should have blurred it.
I should have. It gets you close.
Yeah, if you got a road sign.
But is that road really close, or did you pull that from PA and just like use B-roll from Pennsylvania for your video? Like, you know what I mean?
True,
like
they might not be coming the same way.
Well, that or like just because you had a video of a road,
they don't know.
A road sign
right.
that you could have taken that video in Kentucky while you were turkey hunting in the spring.
Yeah, if they want to do that much work, go for it.
Yeah,
you're right.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, guys like the hunting public will tell them the exact state forest that they're in, and they still go.
They got the buck nest ruined, if you guys saw that.
I don't follow them that close.
They used to hunt that one spot, I think it was down in like Iowa, and they went back the one year, and it was just loaded with people.
Really?
Like, stupid. Like,
who's your one guy that you follow that will literally take people to the tree he kills giant bucks?
That's Dan Infault.
Yeah.
You probably follow Dan Infault, Hunting Beast.
But he never kills the same. He always hunts different spots.
Yeah, but he does those workshops and takes people literally like to the tree that he was hunting in, and people will go in there and hunt. But because he's as good as he is, he goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you're at the same point where like you're doing the work, you're finding all these different places to hunt. If somebody blows it up, who cares? Do you know how many deer are out there to go hunt?
Can't effectively be spot burned.
Yeah, yeah, just go somewhere else. But yeah, appreciate you reaching out and just dropping the bomb like, hey, I got some shit. We gotta.
I thought that was kind of crazy. It was something good to talk about.
Oh, absolutely, especially as we're like, we're 3 weeks out. This is like, it's go time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're not the only person that has to deal with dickhead neighbors trying to screw up their hunt.
No,
it's definitely something that's relatable. That
especially here in Pennsylvania, because like you said, Pennsylvania is not like this huge, vast, open farmland. Like it's a lot of 10, 20, 30-inch or 30-acre parcels that like everybody deals with it in Pennsylvania. Unless you're like down in the mountains hunting like big open tracts of public land, but those people are still dealing with it.
Yeah, I got a camera stolen last year as well too.
Where at? On PA Public?
That was in Ohio.
Oh,
on your lease?
Yeah.
On your lease, it was stolen?
Yeah, it was on our lease that we paid big money for, and someone fucking ripped it off a tree.
They figured, if he can afford to pay for a lease, he can pay for another Tacticam.
Yeah, so I had a Tacticam, one of those battery units inside, and a solar panel all gone.
So is that when you started putting your bike chains on them? Or
Yeah, I stick them probably 12 feet up in the tree, and I chain them up.
Well, you sent me a picture.
You got disrespected.
A trail cam photo of some guy walking through the woods with bolt cutters.
No, it was a big Bowie knife, dude. This Bowie knife was probably a foot long, and then I just
where
see
are you
like
hunting?
This is
You don't need to
Ohio.
tell me Ohio.
It's Ohio.
Like I know there's some sketchy places when you get out there, like Timbuktu.
It's almost Kentucky, but
Okay.
He sent us this like series of photos, and it's like picture of the guy with this like Bowie knife, and then it's like a couple pictures of his camera moving before the guy turned it off. Like so, like he had pictures, video of the guy stealing his camera.
You don't know who the guy was.
no. But another thing with Tacticam, so I reported it stolen. If he ever turns it on, it'll send it to Tacticam, and I can somehow get it back to doing something like that. But
Well, not that you'll get it back. It'll ping that like
I don't
that's
know.
a stolen camera. As soon
Yeah.
as he tries to put a plan to it.
Will it send you the location though?
Yeah, I could see if he turned it on, I could see exactly where that camera's at.
Well, our buddy Keith was telling me the big problem he's running into is people are going to Sportsman's Warehouse or whatever sports store, buying a Tacticam, and then they go out into the woods steal one, turn it off, put it in the box, and then return the stolen one.
You see,
That's brilliant.
I don't think that it can work because with Austin, well, they would have to report it
That's
stolen.
why they're getting rid. That's why they're returning the stolen one. So they're getting their money back and they're keeping a brand new one
But how are they not getting caught with all the cameras?
because they turn it off.
Oh, and by the
they don't know
time
which one's which.
by the time that it gets either sent back to Tacticam or whatever,
Yeah.
it's too late.
Yeah.
Because if you don't turn it back on,
They
Yeah,
don't know
they
where
go
it's
buy
coming
a
from.
brand new camera.
man, people suck.
I bet that's what they did
Yeah,
with yours.
return a
Yeah,
stolen.
who thinks of that shit too?
Yeah, they buy a brand new one.
If you spent half
Steal
that
one
time
and return the
actually,
stolen one and get their money back.
if you spent half that time coming up with that scheme of just like scouting in the woods,
Yeah.
like, come on,
That's actually like insane. That's brilliant.
we probably just like gave that idea to a bunch of people that
I know,
listen
we
to
should
this.
have said that.
Hopefully, our
Austin's thinking about it.
I'm hoping our listeners are good people. They listen to us because they like us and that they're good people, and they agree that those people are shitbags.
Right.
That's my hopes for this podcast. But
That's kind of what this whole podcast is revolved around. Is
shitbags.
Like, shitbags.
Oh,
Everybody's got to deal with them. You just
Yeah.
got to make the best of it.
yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, people suck.
I hope that dude bumps that buck right into your lap.
If you guys are listening out there and you know about this buck, he will not last longer than 2 weeks.
There you go. He's calling it out. So 2 weeks after season,
Maybe
you're gonna
not
be.
a week.
You're gonna have to bring this deer back up to this area to.
I'll bring the whole thing up here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like backstrap, so
We'll crack
just in
a
case.
beer over it.
Absolutely. I love drinking beers over bucks. It's one of my, I think, like, if you go down the list of, like, the best beers, like, you have, like, shower beers are really high up there. But beer over a buck.
Gutting deer.
Yeah.
Beer.
That first beer when you're gutting a deer. Because, like,
The gutting the beer.
we have this, like, superstition. Nobody cracks a beer until we find the deer. Because, like, you shoot it in bow season, you see it take off. We'll pack beers, but nobody cracks a beer
We don't
until
want to get too drunk that you can't follow the blood trail.
we it's like a superstitious thing.
Start
We don't want to
tripping.
celebrate, you don't want to celebrate till you're in the end zone.
Yeah.
So, but then, yeah, that first beer that you
I
can
like
have.
that. I
Well,
do like that.
yeah, it's really cool if it's like Tom shot the buck, so then I can just crack beers while Tom's gutting it out, and I just have to hold a leg or something.
You're
Works
like
out well.
you're like holding the flashlight. Like I see him.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
yeah. I'm like halfway cracked, waiting to see that white belly. But no, it's I appreciate you bringing the topic to the table, and like I said, I'm really hoping for part 2, and it's with a big skull plate sitting on the table.
Heck
So-
yeah, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Tom, you got anything to interrupt with before we close it out here?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
All right. So I guess we're going to close it out there. I hope you guys aren't dealing with the shitbags that our buddy Tyler's dealing with. But even if you are, it's not a big deal. You guys all know what to do. Get outside.
Shoot him up.